Is Jean Kuhn, and we are back for another Milk Crate moment. And today, my guest is Anita Carter from successfulparentingdna.com, successfulparentingdna.com. And Anita, what I always like to start with is your Milk Crate moment. It could be anything around your business where you had to make a decision. It was like a crossroads. What am I going to stay in business, or am I going to go? Am I going to work it out, or am I going to cry about it? I cried about it for a while, and then I worked it out, right? So, what's your Milk Crate moment?
Oh my God. So I started a business with a partner, um, and we figured out how hard it was to start the business, let alone how hard it was to keep the business, right? So we started struggling with financial issues, marketing, and building our clientele. And then once we did that, then we had a hard time keeping our employees and not turning over a lot. And then towards close to the end of the year, imagine that your partner has a brain injury, and that stops him from being able to that prevents him from being able to contribute to the business, because he used to do the one side of the business and I did the other side. And I struggled for 6 months after that, and I had to let go of employees. I couldn't find the funds. The marketing wasn't anything I tried to do was not working, and I just started to go into this pit, right? That oh my God, this
Like
all my
spiral, like
money,
a downward
yeah, that
spiral.
spiraled, and I'm not good enough. I can't get this. It's not going to work. And I just felt like I was just struggling, and that lack of confidence was just like you said, spiraling. And I had to let go of the last employee, and I was looking at closing the doors. And I said to myself, one day I just started crying and just letting it all out, right? And saying, okay, I have so much that I can help these families, that of my own personal experiences and all what I have learned and I didn't want to give up, but I was at that point.
Right.
So I closed the doors, and as I sold all of everything that was inside my business, I realized that I'm not going to give up. I may have closed those physical doors, but I could still do my business. So,
Did you have a brick and mortar?
yeah,
Okay, I didn't know if this was a home-based business or if you
it
actually.
was yeah. And then I turned it into a home based business because I closed those doors, but I didn't want to give up. And so I went through all those obstacles, right? And I said, okay, I got to keep going. I can't let this be. I can't be defeated right now. My determination was so determined. So I reached out to 7 agencies within the valley that I live in, and I contracted myself out to them.
Hmm,
And
that's
I said, I started a business, but I don't want to be an employee, but are you willing to? And I was actually one of the first contractors at 2 of the agencies out here. They didn't even know about it. And so I think instead of letting those obstacles fall and make me fall, that I wouldn't be here today after 24 years of serving families, doing my business that way instead of having a physical brick wall. I have like my printer, my computer, and all my materials that I need in order for me to be successful as a as an entrepreneur, which I didn't know that was what I was doing. I just felt like it was just my business. Um, and
Anita,
that's
how long ago
when
was this? How,
so that was in 2005.
okay.
And so um, that I would say that my business was open from 2000 to 2002, almost 2000, the end of 2003 when I finally had to close the doors. So I
Okay.
just couldn't keep it myself. So then in 2003, end of 2003, I just started working as a contractor. And my business has been this way since. And I actually retired, and I'm starting this new business, and it's so much easier because of all those obstacles and those things that I had to endure and go through, that this has made it even easier. I'm still doing what I want to do. I'm just not the therapist slash behavior coach anymore. I'm a parent coach. And so I'm like so excited because this is something I've been working on since I retired in 2019 to come back to working. I took a sabbatical, spent some time with my family, my grandkids. I have 10 grandchildren and two great grandchildren. And I'm just not done. I'm just not done. I know what I have and what I do because of my passion. I've helped over hundreds of families
Uh,
during those struggling times. And if I wouldn't have picked myself up, I wouldn't be the founder of Parenting DNA and the creator of the Family First system.
well, I love that story. And it made me giggle a little bit when you said, I no longer am a therapist, I'm a parenting coach. Because as somebody who has grown children, I can only relate it now to what the dog trainer told me, that she could not train my dog. Her job was to come here and train me. So, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes kids can be a little out a little wild too, like a new puppy or something. They don't pee in the house, but right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about successful parenting DNA. A little bit. What is it that you're doing with families right now to help them?
So, so Jean, it's really the Successful Parenting DNA is my group that I have
Okay.
put together for parents to come and get their support. It's a community group. My company is Parenting DNA,
Okay.
and basically what I offer is to give the parents their tools and their their strategies they need in the moment. Like a lot of times we struggle with communicating with our children, and we don't realize that they're little ones, and they're not good at communicators, and they learn from us as their parents how to communicate. So I help a lot of parents improve their parent-child relationship by finding out what type of really parenting style they want to be. And there's where the parenting DNA comes in for me. Is that one day I found myself, you know, I found myself becoming self-aware about who I was as a parent. And a lot of people don't know this, so I'm going to be a little vulnerable here, Jane.
Okay.
I was illiterate until my late 20s. And I was a teenage mom, and those homework moments when you're working with your children. So my life with my kids was like, wow, I'm a mom, I was good. Once they hit that school age, it was there's where I started to have that disconnect with my own kids.
Mm,
And I worked really hard to survive so that I could be the best mom that I could be financially for my kids and emotionally. So I thought, but I wasn't, because I wasn't there for them during those homework moments. And I found myself screaming and yelling at them one day. And it wasn't really, I don't even know till this day why, but I realized that my dad's words were coming out of my mouth.
mm,
And I found out that that feeling I felt as a kid, I just put it on my kids. And
mm.
I didn't want to repeat my parents' parenting style, or if people want to say parenting programming. I wanted to rewire that for myself. And I started to look at the way I would talk to my kids. And I also admitted that I was illiterate and went to the neighborhood community college, got tested, and been rocking at learning and being the parent and role model I want to be for my kids and my grandkids and those families that I'm helping.
Wow. Well, what a beautiful story, because I think a lot of parents, I mean, that's what we learned, right? We learned,
Yes.
we end up parenting a lot like our parents did until we learn better. Honestly, I'll be a little vulnerable here. Today, I would parent so differently than I did when my kids were little, right? I wouldn't yell as much. I wouldn't scream as much. Oh, I grew up with 3 sisters, and I have 2 boys, so I didn't have any experience with brothers or anything, what that was going to be like. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So they have a daughter too, so she tucked in there right in the middle there. So I do think that that's such a wonderful thing that you're doing now, and helping families learn to communicate, so that you're not raising them like your parents raised you, right? So I love that.
And there's nothing bad about how our parents raised us by
Right.
any means.
They did their
It's just that
best.
there's some good things and there's some bad things, and it's okay for us to look at changing those
Right,
and making choices to be a better role model for our children. So
right.
I was like you. My dad used to yell and scream a lot, and then I realized too he might have done what exactly why I started to do what I did, because I realized my dad only had went to school till the sixth grade, because he was dropped off in Mexico by his parents
Mm,
in an orphan home. So he never was raised with a physical parent.
right,
So he didn't know how to be empathetic and show that love and affection. He learned what he learned, right? So our parenting isn't just about our DNA. It's about what we learn, what actions we take, and our environment.
right. We have somebody, a Facebook user, that said, "Congratulations on overcoming your obstacles."
Thank
So,
you.
right, I think as mothers, I think we overcome them on a what, daily basis. Kind of like when I talk to people about their milk crate moment, I say to them, "So, what's your milk crate moment?" And a lot of times they're like, "Oh, I know." Or the other piece is like, should I give one from yesterday or from last week, right? Because as
Yeah.
business owners, we have milk crate moments all the time. What you said a little bit ago, which I thought was so profound, was homework moments, right?
Mhm.
How you're helping them with homework moments, and homework moments are then kind of like those milk crate moments for business owners, but except for students, right? And
Yeah.
moms, right? When you, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, Anita. There's not enough money in the world that I would go back to that, right?
Yeah.
The homework moments.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I would I my only regret is I didn't
Mm,
do do that take that action step and go and get my help so I could learn how to read and write. That's my only regret. That shame, that guilt, that embarrassment,
yeah,
it overtook me, just like that failure of losing this business, back in the early 20s, because my partner had a brain injury, and I think that all these obstacles I had to go through was so that I can be here today and be the person that I am with the passion that I have, because I know how it is firsthand.
yeah.
And I was very grateful that I had an ex sister-in-law, because I did get married to my boy's fathers. Um, but she was the one that had the same age of kids that mine, and they would do their homeworks together.
Oh,
But when I broke down and I went to the college, I wasn't embarrassed after I cried in the parking lot, in the park in my neighborhood after I got tested. I went home and I sat with my boys and I told them, the reason why mom hasn't been here for you isn't because I don't love you and I didn't want to be here. It's because mom doesn't know how to read and write. And I bawled, and my oldest son started crying. He goes, Mom, why are you crying? I'm so proud of you. And I thought, oh my God, he's proud of his mother. The role was like changed, and that's when I decided to, push myself so that I can get my degree and my master's in psychology and family and child therapist. And I did that for over 24 years.
wow.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, Anita, what a great story. Well, listen, before we go today, I always ask people, what is, except I forgot to ask the last the last person, what is the biggest piece of business advice you can give an entrepreneur, especially when they're going through a milk crate moment?
Um, Take a deep breath, write everything out. It doesn't have to be perfect with the way you spell it or anything out. Write those emotions, whatever curse words you got to say or whatever, put it out there on paper. Look at it and say, okay, is it going to defeat you or you is that going to be your obstacle to make you and push you and motivate you even more?
Right. Is that gonna be your milk crate moment?
Yes,
I love it.
that's
I
going to
love
be
it.
a great moment.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you. I'm
here,
so honored. Thank you.
and I'm so glad that you were available today because I was not feeling well. We were supposed to do this a couple days ago, and thank you for coming back and giving me the grace of feeling a little bit better before.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I couldn't wait to talk to you. So,
I couldn't either,
I
Jean. Thank you.
Anita, have a wonderful day. Talk to you
You
soon.
too.